Hi guys. So this video is going to be about my personal experience being assaulted with microwave weapons. Um, it started in 2010, and again, I just want to say this video is not about speculation. It's not about a theory that I have. This is fact. Um, It started in 2010. I was living in Brooklyn and working at a high profile corporation in New York City. And I was being persecuted and harassed at that company. I filed an official report with the company about the harassment, and then the owner of the company started sending me threatening emails, and so I quit. And right after I quit that job, I started having these what I thought were nightmares at the time, and what it was that I would wake up to the sound of someone yelling at me, and it would be very loud, unusually loud for a dream. And one time it was the voice of a coworker, and the other time it was the voice of a family member, and I just thought I was having nightmares at the time. But it would continue all night long. So I would go back to sleep, and then I'd wake up again to like the sound of a door slamming, and then I'd go back to sleep and wake up again to the sound of animal noises or helicopters or knocking on the wall or something crashing up to the floor, glass, just anything. There were all different kinds of sounds, but a lot of the time it was people yelling at me. And so that would happen maybe 5 times a night, maybe even more. And I couldn't get any sleep. And I just, at the time, I didn't know what to think about what was going on. But then the electric shocks started, and I would wake up, my heart would stop, and I would wake up, and I couldn't breathe. The heart stopping several times. The reason I say my heart stopped is I could just feel it. I mean, I don't know how to explain what it feels like when your heart, maybe you've experienced like heart palpitations or things like that, but I just knew that it was my heart. And I would wake up, and that happened several times where my heart would stop and I would wake up and I thought I was having a heart attack. And then I would wake up and I couldn't breathe. And I just started thinking, what's going on? What's going on here? This is weird. And then the dreams started, where I would have dreams where I would have electric shocks on my body. Oh yeah, there was one time when it felt like my entire body was just being pummeled with electric shocks. There was that. And this is all happening right around the same time, like within a month, like after I quit this job. Then the dreams started. Okay, so the dreams were, okay, one of the dreams that I had was, and this is gruesome, but I have to tell you guys because there's no other way to explain it. I had a nightmare that someone was cutting my head off. And right when the knife or axe or whatever it was hit the back of my neck, and I think it was actually a guillotine in my dream. By the way, this is long before I even knew that anything about the Bible and all that stuff. It wasn't a normal nightmare. This just wasn't on my mind back then. This was before I even had a YouTube channel, okay? And I had a dream that somebody was cutting my head off, and I woke up as the knife hit the back of my head, and as I woke up, I could feel an electric shock type feeling on the back of my neck that didn't feel like a knife. It felt like an electric shock. And I thought, that's weird. And then I think the thing that really finally set me over was when I had the dream of the sexual assault, and it was literally a sexual assault. As I was dreaming of the sexual assault, someone was talking in my head, a man's voice was talking in my head, and I was seeing gruesome, repulsive images in my dream. And at the same time, all at the same time, they were assaulting my genitalia. And so that it literally felt like I was being sexually assaulted. And of course I woke up, and it stopped once I woke up. But when I woke up, my baby, who was sleeping in the crib next to my bed, woke up right after I woke up. He woke up crying, and I hadn't made a noise when I woke up. He didn't wake up because of me. It was something else. He woke up crying. There were several times, and I can't remember. I'm trying to remember back to 2010. I can't remember exactly everything. But there were several times that my son would wake up at the same time that I woke up, and he would wake up crying. So at that point, I was like, all right, something's going on. I got to find out what's going on. So I started doing research on the internet, and I found a family who, one of the daughters in the family was an engineer, and I saw this news broadcast that a YouTuber had uploaded. It's in my favorites. I'm sure it's in my favorites or one of my playlists. You can go back and watch it. And she was an engineer. Actually, a couple of them I think were engineers. I think maybe it was the whole family. But they were being assaulted with microwave weapons, and they were on the news, and they were saying how they would use heavy-duty aluminized thermal blankets because it was made from aluminum, and aluminum was a reflector and would deflect microwave radiation. Okay, so I was thinking about that. I'm like, aluminum. Okay, aluminum. So I thought, I'm just going to do an experiment, and I'm just going to see if this prevents what they're doing. Because what they were doing to me at that time was every single night, and it was several times a night. And I couldn't get any sleep, basically. So I had to do something. So I got a cardboard box, and that would cover my body. And it didn't cover my feet. I remember that because I'll get to that in a minute. But I just wanted to see if it would help, prevent what was happening. So I flattened out a cardboard box, and I lined the outside of it with heavy-duty aluminum foil, and I taped aluminum foil on there. And then when I went to bed that night, I put the box over me, over the covers, and I just put it over my head and over my body. But I remember that it didn't cover my feet. And then that night, I felt what felt like electric something hitting my feet. And I can't really remember, so I'm not going to get into it because I can't remember what the sensation was exactly with my feet, and it might be in some of my old videos because I actually started my YouTube channel because of this harassment. That was part of the reason why I started my YouTube channel. So I was feeling these sensations on my feet, and my feet were uncovered, and I thought, well, that's weird. But then that first night, I heard what sounded like somebody was pouring a bag of sand on the top of this cardboard aluminum thing that I had covering me. And when that happened, I mean, that was really scary. That was really, really scary. And at that point, I knew that yeah, that there was something was going on, that somebody was using something against me, some kind of radiation or something, and that the aluminum was reflecting it, and that was what was causing that sound that literally sounded like sand being poured on top of me, on top of the aluminum. So, and then I could feel my feet like getting hot, or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. And I thought, oh my gosh, my feet was the only thing sticking out from under that. At that point, I built an entire shelter around my bed and my son's bed because I couldn't afford to get the heavy duty aluminized thermal blankets at that time. They're about $20 a piece. And so what I did was I built my own shelter using cardboard boxes and heavy duty aluminum foil. And when I did that, the assault stopped. So I no longer had people yelling at me, waking me up every hour. I no longer had the bodily sensations, the sexual assaults, the physical assaults, the electrocution, the stopping of the heart, the not being able, waking up, not being able to breathe, gasping for breath. All of that stopped once I put the shelter completely around my bed and my son's bed. My son waking up crying, all of it stopped. And then when I moved, I started using. I finally was able to afford the aluminized heavy-duty thermal blankets, and that's what I use now, and that works as well. And I wasn't sure if that was going to work at first, but then after I used it, I know that it does work. So, again, this is not speculation. This is not a theory of mine. I know that it works. In my particular case, it does work. And these were the assaults that I was having. They were stopping my heart. They were choking me somehow. I would wake up unable to breathe. They were electrocuting me. They were yelling in my head, waking me up, all different kinds of sounds, waking me up. They were, sexually assaulting me. I mean, these were the things that were happening to me, and the heavy-duty aluminized thermal blankets stop it. This summer, there have been a couple times when I've conducted, experiments where I will, like, for example, when I moved, I slept for 3 days without the thermal blankets. And sure enough, and this was right when I moved to another location, sure enough, within 3 days, they were assaulting me again with the sounds and the bodily sensations. Then again, this summer, it was really, really hot, and there was one night that I slept without the thermal blankets, and that night, literally that night, I was assaulted. And when I woke up the next day, I was in extreme pain, and it literally felt like somebody had come into my house and sexually assaulted me. I was in such bad pain. So I'm here to tell you that the aluminized, no matter what anyone says, I'm here to tell you they do work. They will protect you. The heavy-duty aluminized thermal blankets. And I have a video on YouTube that will show you how to make a shelter using aluminized thermal blankets, and I'll post the link below this video. The last thing that I want to talk about is the migraine headaches, because I now know that is also microwave weapons. For years, I didn't even know that I was having migraine headaches. What was happening is that I would just become extremely, extremely agitated. But I started realizing that I was becoming agitated, and as I was becoming agitated, I felt like my head was going to explode. And when I finally started putting the two together and realizing that, wait a minute, my head feels like it's going to explode. I'm in pain right now. And I know that's hard to understand, but it's kind of like cooking a frog at a very slow rate. Like, they start you out very cold, and then they very slowly increase the level until your head literally feels like it's going to explode, but you don't notice it because it's gradually gets worse and worse. So if you find that you're suffering from migraine headaches, you can go to lessemf.com, and they have silver-coated caps that do work. I did get one. It does work. It doesn't completely eliminate the pain, but it will lessen the pain at least 80%. Okay, I'm out of time. I got to go. Bye.